What is the difference between accent and pronunciation? I'm here to explain that to you right now. Welcome everybody, my name is Marcelo Santana and I work at Approach International Student Center, your first home away from home. Before I start this video, make sure you like it, subscribe, and share it with your friends so more people have access to this kind of information. As an English teacher, I have seen and heard many students and people who are even teachers say stuff like, oh, you should be speaking English with an American accent, or you should be speaking English with a British accent. If somebody says, for example, city, I've seen even teachers correcting that person and saying, oh, city, pronounce with me, city, changing from an European kind of accent to an American kind of accent. And my idea here in this video is basically to tell you that if you pronounce the word city as city, both are obviously correct. Now, this may seem obvious to some of you, but believe me, there are many students out there struggling with the idea that they do not have the perfect accent. And sometimes, because they don't have an accent that resembles the American accent or resembles the British accent, what happens is they think that their English is not enough. They think that their English is not good enough. And I've seen fluent people saying, I'm not fluent in English just because of their accent. Now, I'm here to show you the difference between accent and the difference between pronunciation, right? Now, these are two different things. I would agree that if you say, for example, the word city, right? If you say city, then we have a problem with the pronunciation there. Because if you say city, changing the stress from the first syllable to the second one, then I would argue that, yes, that is a wrong, incorrect pronunciation. If you said city, meaning city, to any native speaker, they will probably say, ask you to repeat or say, oh, what do you mean? Do you mean city? They would probably be confused right there and then, right? But if you just change, for example, in this case, the consonant sound, city or city, then there is no problem at all, because what you're doing is you're just using a different accent, the accent that you learned, right? So we should definitely study pronunciation. We should definitely work on our English, work on pronunciation, do our best to be as clear as possible when we speak the English language, because it is not our first language, right? So we got to work hard to make ourselves understood. But what I don't want you to do is, I don't want you to freak out. I don't want you to go crazy thinking, my goodness, I do not have an American accent, so everybody will laugh at me when I speak English. Forget about that. We have many different accents in the world, and you were born in the country that you were born. You have the cultural identity that your country has, given you. You have been brought up in a certain context, and you cannot get rid of that. And I would argue that you should not get rid of that. It is who you are. It is your cultural identity. So do your best to work on your pronunciation. Yes, by all means, do that. But do not worry too much about your accent. If somebody asks you, oh, you should speak English as a native speaker, your first question should be, native speaker from where? From which country? Because when we say the word native speaker, we think basically Americans, right? We think of the American English because of Hollywood and everything, all the propaganda that comes from there. But this is not, this is just one kind of native speaker. You know what I'm saying? They are from America, but you have native speakers from Britain. You have native speakers from Australia, right? You have native speakers from all different, from Ireland, from different countries who speak the English as a first language, right? So all these different accents, they are native speakers or native speaker accent, right? So if somebody asks you or tells you that you should learn English and speak English as a native speaker, your first question should be, native speaker from where, my guy? Tell me. You mean from America? You mean from Britain? Where? So, and even in America, you have different kinds of accents here. People here where I'm at in the northeast of the country, they speak in a certain way. If you go to the south of the country, they speak in a different way, using different words, using even different kinds of vowel sounds, different kinds of consonant sounds to different words, you know. So even in the native speakers country, we have different accents. So don't be scared. Be who you are. What I tell my students is you gotta speak. That's all you have to do. Speak. Just let it out. And then, as soon as you're comfortable with who you are, guess what? It's over. If you love yourself, if you're comfortable with who you are, it doesn't matter what people say, you know? You know that you're gonna be able to understand everything people say in English, and you know that you're gonna be able to make yourself understood in the English language. Some students, they'll say, you know what, Marcelo, I agree with your words. I think it's very beautiful the way you're saying things. You know, it's amazing that you want me to be who I am, but I really want to have a British accent. I really want to have an American accent. Now, I don't want to tell you that this is all wrong. I think like if you want to, then you should work for it. You know, there are accent reduction courses. There are teachers that specialize in teaching you that kind of accent. So if you like that, if you want to do something like that along those lines, you know, speak more like a British person, speak more like an American person, by all means do that too. Just don't freak out. And don't judge other people who might not have the same desire as you. You know, the people who I know who speak like English the best, they are people from India, and their accent is pretty thick, right? When you hear an Indian person speaking English, you know that person is from India. It's a very characteristic accent. But if you pay attention to what they are saying, their grammar structures, everything is just perfect. The accent is there, obviously, but that's beautiful. It shows who they really are. Okay? So that's it for today. Just to give you the difference between pronunciation and accent, and also to tell you that it's okay to speak English with your accent. And it's also okay to want to get better and achieve a more native-like pronunciation, okay? What it's not okay is for you to judge others based on their accent, and it's not okay for you to also feel undermined because you don't have a certain accent. All right? This was Marcelo, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye.